Hi, welcome back. I'm Mrs. Henry and we are going to continue our geometry review of triangles. And today we're going to look at, instead of last time we looked at some sides, today we're going to look at some angles. And using our trig functions when we're not a special right triangle. So here I'm looking for x, which is the side length. In relationship to 64, I have the opposite and the hypotenuse. Remember, when I'm looking for opposite and hypotenuse, I'm talking about sine. So the sine of 64 is x over 25. So x equals 25 times the sine of 64. And in our calculator, we need to calculate that. Make sure we are in degree mode. And x will equal 22.5. Questions on that? Okay. Let's look at another example. So in relationship to 18, I don't have an opposite sign. I do have an adjacent and a hypotenuse. So when I have adjacent and hypotenuse, I use cosine. So I have the cosine of 18 equals x over 34. So x equals 34 times the cosine of 18. In my calculator, remember to be on degree mode, x equals 32.3. Now let's try one more that looks like that, and then we'll go to some angles. So I have a leg that's x and a leg that's 9. And my lower angle is 35 degrees. So in relationship to 35, I have opposite and adjacent. Opposite and adjacent is tangent. So I have the tangent of 35 equals 9 over x. And then if I set this up as a proportion, then I know that 9 equals x tangent of 35, or x equals 9 over the tangent of 35, and x equals 12.9. There you go. Now we're going to go on to some angles. Now on some angles. 5, 8, and 14. And I am looking at this angle right here. In relationship to theta, I have opposite and adjacent, which is tangent. So the tangent of theta equals 8 over 14. And now I'm going to need to make sure that I do the inverse tangent. So I have the inverse tangent of 8 over 14 is going to give me my angle measure. And my angle measure here becomes 29.4 degrees. Questions on that? All right. Then let's look at the next one. And I am looking for the little angle right here. So in relationship to theta, I have the hypotenuse, this is the opposite, and the adjacent. So adjacent and hypotenuse gives me the cosine. So the cosine of theta equals 38 over 40. So my theta becomes the inverse cosine of 38 over 40. And theta equals 18.2 degrees. Now we're going to do an example where we're talking about the elevation, and then we're going to do an example when we're talking about the angle of depression. So let's look at those. So the angle of elevation from a fishing boat to the top of a lighthouse. So I have us sitting in a boat. And here is the top of the lighthouse. Whoop. And there's me hanging out inside. Is 5 degrees. And it says the top of the lighthouse is 161 feet above sea level. And how far is the boat from the lighthouse? So we're looking for x here. So in relationship to 5, I have opposite and adjacent. So we're going to use the tangent of 5 equals 16 over x. So x will be 16 over the tangent of 5, which gives me 1,840.2 feet, which is really far, almost a third of a mile away. Questions on this? All right, let's look at another example. Now, a fire is spotted from the top of a 125-foot tall fire tower. This is 125 feet. So I'm going to put that up here. That makes it a little bit easier because I'm looking at my angle of depression. And we're talking about 125 feet. And here's my ground. Okay. And the angle of depression is 19 degrees. And we want to know how far it is from the base of the tower, which is here. So I have opposite and I have adjacent. So I have the tangent of 19 equals 125 over x. And x equals 125 over the tangent of 19, which gives me 363 feet. Okay, this ends the second section of geometry review. Be sure to watch the videos if you can about how to derive the unit circle. That's going to be where you're going to start off in pre-calculus, and that will be very important that you see that. Let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.